Peace, everybody. It's your boy, Ras Tien. I'm having a lovely day. I hope you all are feeling all right. It's Sunday, December 13th, 2020, here in Mongolia. I hope everybody has had a nice weekend so far. I was supposed to have a guest on my show tonight, but unfortunately he's a bit under the weather, so hopefully I can get him back probably later tonight or maybe later this week, but it's okay. You know, we gonna keep rolling. I got something new that I want to talk about. So on today's show, what I want to talk about is the making of a degenerate culture. The making of a degenerate culture. Now, what is a degenerate? A degenerate is a person that does something that is culturally unacceptable, something immoral. Right? That's what it means to be a degenerate. Right? Basically, just someone that's according to definition, just having lost the physical, mental, or moral qualities considered normal and desirable. Right? Showing evidence of decline. Right? That's a degenerate culture that I see when I look at America. And when I look at America, that's what I see. I see a degenerate culture. Because when we look at the measure of morality, the things that we look for the most is, some might say, looking at the statistics of crime or drug use, right? Others would tell you to look at divorce rates, church participations, or birth that takes place out of wedlock, right? So many of these would provide a good clue as to the health of a culture. But even some atheists would agree that a thorough measure would be to stack up the culture against the 7 deadly sins. Now, for those of you who don't know, the 7 deadly sins, they were introduced in the Christian faith to help the adherents avoid sin. So when you look at American culture, it's not hard to conclude that it is indeed the most degenerate in the world. And I'm gonna walk you through some of these 7 deadly sins. The first one is lust, right? The second one is gluttony. The third one is greed. The fourth one is sloth. The fifth one is wrath. The sixth one is envy. And the seventh one is pride, right? Now, let's focus on the first one, lust. Now, what is lust? Lust or lechery it's pretty much, it's an intense desire, right? It's a general term for desire, meaning to want something. So lust could involve an intense desire of money, food, fame, power, or sex, right? So right now, when we look at American culture, there are thousands of intelligent teenage boys who dream of becoming a rock star instead of a doctor or an engineer. There are teenage girls uploading selfies to Facebook and Instagram in hopes of gaining attention instead of seeking out a good man in her prime fertile years. There are morbidly obese individuals just stuffing their face with food made of dense, made with like dense and made dense with sugar and fat, even though their body doesn't require such a thing. There are men whose lives revolve around the accumulation of material possessions or status badges to impress women who have been trained to become drawn to anything that will shine or sparkle. So when we look at the foundation of America, it's held up by these 5 pillars, right? The 5 pillars of lust, which are money, food, fame, power, and of course we know mostly sex. I mean, being from America, I've grown up in a place where, sex sells, right? So when you put sex on a pedestal and you live in an over-sexualized country, you're going to see a lot of sexual deviance, right? A lot of inappropriate behavior that revolves around sex. So these vices have been monetized by national corporations to ensure that they get a slice of the pie in your destructive journey towards moral abasement. So there is no other country in the world that makes lust such a daily and all-encompassing feature of life than America. All right, now I explained what lust is. Now, let's go into gluttony. What is gluttony? Overindulgence and overconsumption of anything to the point of waste. It could include an obsessive anticipation of meals, and as well as the constant eating of delicacies and excessively costly foods, right? Now, when we look at America, America is the fattest developed country in the world. Over half the population is medically overweight with no concern on how this affects their appearance and what it says about their character. So people eat when they're not even hungry, and then they eat some more. The richest and most unhealthiest foods that could ever be constructed. So they look in the mirror, and instead of accepting that they've transmorphed into a monstrosity of a human being, they scream at you for shaming them and pointing out that they have such an horrendous gluttony. They're actually healthy, we're told, right? Even though their immense carriage prevents them from fitting in a standard airplane seat. Self-control is becoming so rare that those who have it could likely be diagnosed as having obsessive compulsive disorder. You only live once, they say. So the rule is to seek out your fleeting moment of happiness in a large piece of chocolate cake after you've already eaten a meal fit for 2 people. I remember when I was growing up in school, I used to be a fat kid when I was a kid. When I was growing up, you didn't see a lot of fat kids. You might have seen like we fat kids back then, we were considered the majority. No, I'm wrong. We were considered the minority, right? You didn't see a lot of us. Nowadays, you see a whole bunch of us. And it's sad, the way how sloppy some people look. I got a friend of mine, he's a real good guy, but the dude looks like he's pregnant. That's not healthy. That's not sexy. To be walking around where if you look like you trying to wear a tank top and your tank top looks like a sports bra. That's not healthy. That's not appealing at all. So let's look at the third one. You have greed. Right? Now, what is greed? Greed is a very excessive or rapacious desire and pursuit of material possessions. Greed is an inordinate desire to acquire or possess more than one needs, especially with respect to material wealth. See, Americans, we don't judge ourselves based on our experience and knowledge. We judge ourselves based on our possessions. You see, we proudly display their newest, our newest gadget, our fancy cars, or the latest fashion. But even with these objects, we become quickly disappointed and feel compelled to make another trip to the mall or Amazon.com. We seek to gain more and more, racing with peers to be the most mindless and robotic with our consumption, hoping to incorporate products filled in our lives that appear to be empty. So we want to feel rich and important through objects that we can touch and show to others, not through any wisdom that we've attained from living life deliberately. So our lives are dedicated not to making a positive difference, not to leaving this world with something that helps the next generation, but leaving behind a whole heap of crap. So as Americans, we don't work to live. We work to stuff our home with Chinese-made products that no one will want after they die. And that brings me to another thing, the fourth thing, which is sloth. So sloth has a lot to do, it can be sometimes defined as physical laziness, right? But there's also spiritual laziness. So when you look at a sloth, the animal, the sloth, it's pretty, it doesn't move fast, right? The sloth is an animal that looks very laid back, right? It just takes its time moving. So when you apply that to a person, it can also be defined as a failure to do things that one should do. So we Americans, we work long hours in a cubicle job so that we can spend most of our time off with mindless, loony pursuits. So a man or a woman in their prime will slave away 50 hours a week in a job to buy things they don't need and entertain ourselves with electronics, trendy dining, and fornication. Only after continuous years of pursuing nonstop fornication, we have yet to realize that it wasn't even the path to personal fulfillment that we thought, but it was a path to the truth and what we see today. So, you may not agree, you may laugh at this assumption, but what else can you really expect when the American woman that you interact with actually preferred casual sexual encounters that wouldn't interfere with their career and busy social calendar? I mean, let's just look at that. And then one additional symptom of being a sloth is entitlement. I mean, is there any other people more entitled than Americans? I mean, if you were, I mean, let's just look at it. I mean, if you were to distill our mentality, you know what I'm saying, in only one word, it would simply be gimme, right? That's the kind of people we are. We're gimme people. Gimme this, gimme that. So we believe we're deserving of all good in life without the introspection, analysis, and strenuous individual labor that requires success. Or shall I say that success requires. So only in America do you have people majoring in the most childish of majors like communications, sociology, art history, or psychology, and then expecting to live out the American dream with a car, apartment, a daily frappuccino habit, after wasting 4 years of learning something that you or I could achieve in 3 months with a few trips to a local bookstore. So an American is someone who walks on a treadmill for 5 minutes a day on the slowest setting, and then wonders why they don't have a rock hard six-pack or bulging biceps. So let's look at the fifth one. We almost done, hold on. We got like 2 more after this. We got wrath, W-R-A-T-H, wrath. Now what is that? By definition, inordinate and uncontrolled feelings of hatred or anger. Wrath in its purest form presents with self-destructiveness. Right? I somewhat talked about that during one of my other videos. I told you about dealing with turning anger into power, right? And I was telling you about how rage could be something that's a negative form of anger, right? So rage would be synonymous with wrath. So let's dig into that. Let's dig into wrath. Why do Americans pursue a life of non-stop gluttony, sloth, and lust? Because we believe these vices will provide us with happiness and meaning that we want. But of course it doesn't. And the only response left for us is the anger and rage of not feeling spiritual or existential fulfillment after becoming a slave to our most primitive and hedonistic desires. So consider that the term hate reading was invented in America, where millions of empty people seek out articles that they know will anger them just to feel alive for a few minutes and fill the remaining void with left over from their already incessant pursuit of distraction. Like, you can easily view their anger every day on YouTube and Lively. Videos of like public meltdowns, fights, and violence in public places that started for the most trivial of reasons. The most trivial of reasons that were emotionally incapable of brushing off like a well-balanced adult. I see stuff like that all the time. Stuff like World Star Hip Hop. People getting on the internet and tearing each other down just so they can get views. You know, an American's sanity is hanging by a thread. One step away from a full-blown breakdown. You know, whether if you're yelling at like a Starbucks barista or attacking someone who stepped on your shoe, or outright shooting someone with a handgun because of a traffic incident. You know what I'm saying? This is in spite of the fact that we as Americans are the most medicated in the world, with millions of antidepressant and anti-anxiety pills swallowed every day. A significant percentage of the population needs pharmaceutical chemicals just to keep their rage subdued. Just so you can get through another day. And that's not even enough to keep us sane. Ooh, boy. Yeah, man, I'm getting heated just talking about it. All right, y'all, follow me. I'm on envy. We got one more left after this one. Come on, you can do it, baby. Now, let's look at envy. So envy is similar to jealousy in that they both feel discontent towards someone's traits, status, abilities, and rewards, right? So let me tell you something. Let me give you some game. If you want an American to hate you, all you got to do is just simply succeed in life. No other country breeds people with such feelings of inferiority to think that another person's success is their personal failure. As if everything in life is zero sum. I mean, when you look at the phrase keeping up with the Jones, that's a phrase that we have that originated in America as a direct result of our envious views upon our neighbor. That's where that came from. Envy is a core American value and has been so for several generations. Even towards your family, your flesh and blood, right? They've also been poisoned by this mentality. And you have people in your family who would much rather see you stumble than to see you break free from the chains of existential mediocrity to achieve your maximum potential. So, while envy is definitely a common human trait, consider that in Scandinavia, they possess a cultural code called Jante law, which forbids it. Whether it works or not is up for debate, but they're at least attempting to subdue it. America, on the other hand, encourages it with a culture of hate, where every little action for our celebrities, no matter how minor it is placed under the microscope to be ridiculed and mocked. Only in America has envy actually been monetized to the tune of a multi-billion-dollar celebrity gossip industry. It's so profitable because the most reliable way for Americans to feel better about themselves is to see someone fall flat on their face. So genuine self-improvement is much harder than merely laughing at the misfortune of others. That's how it is. I remember those of you, y'all know what I'm talking about. For those of y'all who are very smart in school, the ones who like answering a lot of questions, you have schoolmates that pick on you because of how smart you are. They get jealous because you're always the first one to answer the question. You do all your homework, you do all your projects on time, you do your classwork. You're an active academic student, and you get nothing but ridicule for it. That's exactly what that is. That's envy. Now, last, but certainly not the least, we have pride. Now, pride can be identified as believing that one is essentially better than others, failing to acknowledge the accomplishments of others, and excessive admiration of the personal self. Now, those of you who are a fan of Dragon Ball, we know a person like that, right? The Prince of all Saiyans, right? We know Vegeta is like that, right? He's that dude who's like, mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me who's the most narcissistic of them all, right? Now tell me, who can't stop making a fool? You know, who can't stop themselves from taking 1 million selfies? You know, you got people that go from attention whoring all hours of the day, from talking about themselves as if the sun orbited around their center. You know, think about the people who exaggerate all accomplishments and brag about the most minor achievements. You know, think of the people who might be running a 5K, right? They think running a 5K is a noble damn duty, right? Or people who like to eat at fancy new restaurants as a way to brag to their friends. You know, those who look down on those who don't have the right job or the right clothes or the right gadgets, who believe that the laws of human nature can be defeated with Botox, and that they are the most unique snowflake of them all. Please tell me who this person is. So when you look in the mirror, guess what the mirror is going to reply? The American who is the most self-important of them all, who really believes that they are exceptional, who believe they are royalty of modern humanity, who believe their actions warrant nothing in the way of careful thought, and those whose mere presence should be met with rousing applause. Now I ask you, for my audience out there, can you name a culture more degenerate than America? Because if you can, tell me. I mean, I've been to quite a few places. I've been traveling around the world. You know what I mean? And I haven't found one that matches the degeneracy of the West. And the two that come closest is basically Canada and England. But of course, they'll never rise up to match it. I mean, if anything, they're pretty much a low fidelity copy of the worst that America has created and nurtured in the past 50 years. A complete abandonment of what it takes to be a virtuous human being. America is a country who trains its subjects to embrace every sin every single day of their lives. You know, even if you don't believe in God, I believe in God, but for those who don't, you should hope and pray, or you should wish, or whatever, flip a coin or throw a coin in a well or some shit like that, and just hope that something destroys American culture. I mean, American culture, it's a soul-sucking leech on over 300 million human beings and countless more outside the borders. It's basically a demon that's enslaving human beings to feed their darkest urges and bottomless pits of narcissism, obsessing over Chinese products and mindless non-stop entertainment, worshiping at the altar of the government instead of the family, creating helpless zombies instead of self-reliant individuals, and equating homosexuality with normality. We got all this shit that's wrong with American culture, and yet you got people that still want to come because they believe it's the best country in the world, because they're fooled by the freedom and the diversity. And They don't really know that to a person that's really born from America, like myself, that America ain't all it's cracked up to be. And all that freedom that you want, that diversity you care to see, comes at a price. But you don't know that. You don't know that until it's too late. But I digress. That's all for today, everybody. I hope you guys have a clear understanding about degeneracy and why you should be happy, for those of you who live in traditionalist countries, that you do not have to deal with such foolishness, right? That you don't have to worry about coming home as a father and seeing your 15-year-old daughter pregnant, or that you don't have to look on the, you don't have to look on the street and see some stupid bitches just twerking in public. You know what I'm saying? Well, y'all, there's another announcement I wanted to make. December 26th is gonna be my birthday. So be sure to send your boy some birthday wishes on my page. And if you could, my biggest birthday wish, I just want some more subscribers. So please, that would be the best gift in the world if y'all get a brother some more subscribers. All right? Until then, y'all, love, peace, and coconut grease. I'll holla. It's been your boy, Ras Tien.